can you manifest any specific person to show up any way you want them to? Where do soulmates come from? Twin flames, divine partners? How does this all work? How do we manifest with intention these specific types of relationships? Maybe you're tired of the quick soulmate lesson thing where you manifest in this relationship, it teaches you so much, but then it just doesn't last and you move on. How do you manifest in something that lasts longer? Can you take that soulmate and turn them into something that lasts longer? Why is it that it's just so much effort to change people if you can theoretically change anyone into anything you want using the law of assumption, the laws of the universe? This is what we're going to be talking about in today's video. Hey guys, I'm Alex. Welcome to my channel. I talk about manifestation, soul healing, life in general, my thoughts, my experiences, my observations, and my theories. Now, this is my third time recording this video because it got so jumbled up. I'm trying to organize my thoughts so much here. I'm going to be reading to you from the classic trilogy, I know it's backwards, of Florence Scovel Schinn, specifically from The Game of Life and How to Play It, and Your Word is Your Wand. Now, getting into this, where I am observing my throat. When is my throat not giving issues to my voice? One day. So obviously whatever is in alignment with our soul is what manifests. So that being said, I'm sure that we've all been able to look at our dating history or even just our relationships in general, because friendships can really be just as reflective. Well, yeah, obviously they can be just as reflective. And while I am going to be focusing on romantic partners, we can look at our friendships as well. Don't ignore them. Just because it's not romantic, they are relationships. Now, we can look back and see where we've had these soulmate type of connections. And I use the term soulmate as someone who is meant to teach you a lesson and not stay in your life permanently. So this can be like a very high contrast situation, something with a lot of highs, a lot of lows. It can even be like a little bit toxic. Or we can even go to like a twin flame type of situation. And to specify what I mean by twin flame, I mean the very high contrast, very uncomfortable dynamic that usually is pretty toxic, of this idea that the partner is your twin flame. And so these toxic triggering behaviors, whether or not this other person is toxic, is its own thing. But the fact that you are in a relationship or participating in a relationship where you're constantly triggered and constantly in a negative headspace and suffering with maybe not the most progress, because suffering can definitely be an inevitable part of life, and it is a great motivator and pushes us to heal. So I'm not saying that you can't be uncomfortable in relationships, but when it comes to twin flames, I see a lot of people glorifying the excess perpetuation of these cycles. As someone who has experienced plenty of twin flame soulmate type connections, well, not plenty of twin flame connections, but plenty of very high contrast soulmate connections, it's really important that you use the discomfort and the toxic patterns or environment that it creates to push you forward, to heal, and to not want to keep that going anymore just for the sake of having this connection with this person. So that's what I mean by twin flames. I have a whole video on my thoughts on twin flames and how to end the twin flame dynamic. This does not mean that your twin flame couldn't actually be your life partner, your divine match. It could just be that, yeah, you just need to heal and get through this, and that's amazing that you have someone that's supporting you long term on this journey. But like, how do we navigate that? And how do we do what's in our best interest and not get stuck and hung up in something that then does become toxic because it's just repeating with sort of like no purpose. That is what I mean by like the toxic twin flame. So let me find this excerpt that I want to read and then I will be right back. Okay, so when we're manifesting a relationship, we see these differences between whether or not you've experienced something like a divine match, because I think if you experience a divine match and you're very set in that, you probably wouldn't be watching this video unless you're just like curious. But if you're still trying to achieve that divine match, then this is something that you would only understand in theory and not in experience. And I'm kind of in that same boat. So Florence talks about manifesting from different laws or states. This is my understanding. I'm still reading these books. So if any of you are like Florence Scovel Schinn experts out there and you're like, wrong, I'm sorry. I'm working on it. This is just my understanding. Of course, understanding is always growing and changing based on perspective and experience. So my understanding of what I have read thus far is that we manifest from different states, which I think is fair to say. And there's a difference between manifesting from your conscious mind and your subconscious mind, which I think we know, but she kind of just like goes into what that looks like. And so she does give an example that karma is when we are manifesting from our conscious mind and overriding the true alignment of our soul or whatever our soul subconscious thinks is best for us. And we are really imposing our conscious mind or ego's will onto a situation, onto our reality. And other people will make way for that. And perhaps, they, on a conscious level, of course, agree to whatever the desired outcome is. But then maybe it wasn't in their highest interest or your highest interest. And now you receive some karma. And she specifically gives an example that I don't really want to read because it like gets really dark. But she talks about a woman who is like insistent that she wants this man's house, and then he passes away and she's able to get the house, and then she loses her husband, and that was like her karma, because this was like, instead of just surrendering and being like, well, I want something that's equivalent to this. What I like is that Florence talks about equivalence. That when you have a desire for something, she says, desire is a tremendous force and must be directed in the right channels or chaos ensues. And so she says to direct your desire to God or the universe or infinite intelligence to have the best outcome, so that you are free of karmic law and you are under grace instead. She has a lot of affirmations that she gives where she says, I am under grace and not under law. And I didn't understand what she was talking about because I've heard them on the internet and I didn't know what that meant. And reading this, I do believe that this is what she means, that you will not be under the karmic law of having repercussions because you surrendered to the greatest good for all. Through desiring the equivalent of your desire instead of needing it to be a specific thing. So if we talk about a specific person, I've said this in my other videos, I totally understand when we have attachment issues and we have wounding inside of us, we want a specific person because we feel that that person is going to validate whatever that wounding is inside of us. So it's really hard to release the need or the desire for a specific person when we haven't healed that attachment. Now, Eckhart Tolle says, I don't know if it's Tolle or Tolle, he says that attachment is impossible to remove. The only way to remove it is to no longer seek to find yourself inside that person, and it will just dissolve itself by itself. So whatever that person or having that person proves for you to others, it shows that I am worthy, I am lovable, that people can show up for me, that I am a, valued partner, that I am attractive, whatever that is, fix it for yourself, give it to yourself. make yourself feel valued and loved and worthy and attractive, and you will no longer need that person. That's not to say that you can't have that person, but you will no longer have that attachment, and life will be much more peaceful. So now going back to Florence, she's saying that when you release the desire, the need for the specific person, you surrender to divine will, then you are under grace and you're in a state of peace and allowing things to flow to you, and you're not in a state of anxiety. So specifically with this housing example, she says, the woman should have said, feeling the great desire for the house, infinite intelligence, give me the right house equally as charming as this, the house which is mine by divine right. And so when we shift from like my will, oh, I want that house, I want that person, I want that car, to divine right, we are saying and acknowledging that the perfect equivalent, the perfect fulfillment of our desire already exists and is yours by divine right. And what you're able to do is shut off your conscious mind from like trying to figure out how you're going to go get it and controlling the situation, and you're fully surrendering to the universe, which is a much more peaceful state to be in. And in her chapter talking about the law of resistance, she says that you have to release resistance in order to get the things that you want, and that as long as you carry resistance, you're going to carry the circumstances of that resistance around with you. So if you are like not able to let go of something, you're just going to keep perpetuating whatever that negative circumstance is, no matter where you go. Even if you move out of a situation, she shows an example of a woman who couldn't let go of a negative dynamic with her mother, so she leaves her house, goes and gets married, and the husband repeats all the same things that the mother was doing. And she was like, I tried to run away from my mom and I found her in somebody else because she was resistant to the situation. So touching on the idea of the law of non-resistance, I want to give this amazing example that she gives in this chapter. She says, one day I was impatiently waiting an important telephone call. I resisted every call that came in and made no outgoing calls myself, reasoning that it might interfere with the one I was awaiting. Instead of saying divine ideas never conflict, the call will come at the right time, leaving it to infinite intelligence to arrange, I commenced to manage things myself. I love this part. I made the battle mine, not God's, and remained tense and anxious. And then she says that like her phone doesn't ring for a whole hour, and she discovers that the receiver had been off for that whole time and the phone had been disconnected because of it. I don't remember like how telephones used to work back in the old days, but this is like way before multiple people could call you at the same time. And so she said, my anxiety, fear, and belief in interference had brought this upon her, basically manifested, and realizing what she'd done, she commenced blessing the situation at once. She baptized it success and affirmed, I cannot lose any call that belongs to me by divine right. I am under grace and not under law. So by saying I am under grace and not under law, she switched from being under law and manifesting exactly what she was afraid of to surrendering into faith, and then being in a state of grace to receive whatever was hers by divine right. So basically she gets the phone reconnected, and then not like 2 minutes later she gets a very important phone call unrelated, and then like an hour later the call she was waiting for came in. So she says, so long as man resists a situation, he will have it within him. If he runs away from it, it will run after him. And then she gives the example of the woman who tried to run away from the dynamic with her mother and then found it in her partner. So with this understanding that we can manifest either from our will, which is karmic law, whatever our conscious mind is thinking of. So, you know those times where like you have nonstop, like scripted, affirmed that a very specific action was to take place, or a very specific set of circumstances were to take place in your reality regarding your specific person. Like maybe he's going to call me and ask me on a date, or she's going to beg me to take her back, something like that. And then it transpires, but things kind of fall apart again. That is because you were successful in creating those circumstances, but you did not fix whatever the underlying thing was, or you did not align with whatever your desire truly was. And so you took your desire and focused it in the wrong way to get the true desired outcome that you want. And if you surrender to the divine right, your divine plan, your divine soul plan, which Florence Scovel Schinn believes in, then you would have something that is the equivalent, if not better, and longer lasting, because it will be in true alignment instead of your conscious mind insisting that this is the right thing, because our subconscious mind knows better than our conscious mind, right? So I want to read from Your Word is Your Wand. I want to read what she has to say about marriage. Now, if marriage isn't for you, that's okay. To me, this marriage means like a lifelong partnership, divine union with a divine partner. So it doesn't have to be like signing papers at the courthouse or having some sort of ceremony or anything like that, just in terms of like the true match in the long term. So she says, unless marriage is built upon the rock of oneness, it cannot stand. Two souls with but a single thought, two hearts that beat as one. Now, I think there's been a lot of toxic ideas of like, you're half a person and you need to find your other half. But what this is saying, two souls that beat with a single thought. So it's not that two are one half each and they come together and make one whole. It's that the two share in the one. The two share in the one. The two hearts share in the same frequency, and the thoughts also share in the same frequency. So your thoughts and your heart align with this true partner for you. Isn't this amazing? Okay. So thought is a tremendous vibratory force, and man is drawn to his thought creations. Now she gives an example, and I'm going to clarify at the end. She's talking about a man and woman in this, and at the end what she states about women is specifically for this example and not like... Also, this was a different time. There were different roles for men and women back then. They're more traditional conservative roles. So if it's not for you, don't worry. Just take the example structure of it and apply it to whatever it is you want. Okay. A man and woman married were apparently happy. The man became successful and his tastes improved, but the wife still lived in a limited consciousness. Whenever the man bought anything, he went to the best shops and selected what he needed regardless of price. Whenever the wife went out, she haunted the 5 and 10 cent stores. He was living, in thought, on 5th Avenue, and her thought world was on 3rd Avenue. Eventually, the break and separation came. We see this so often in the cases of rich and successful men who desert their faithful, hardworking wives later in life. The wife must keep pace with her husband's taste and ambitions and live in his thought world, for where a man thinketh in his heart, there he is. There is for each person his other half or divine selection. These two are one in their thought worlds, these two whom God has joined together, and no man shall or can part asunder. The twain shall be made one, for in the superconscious mind of each is the same divine plan. Okay, so basically she's giving this example of a traditional dynamic between a man and a woman, where the man is the provider and the woman is the housewife and keeping the home, that traditional role, which if that's not for you, that's fine, but you're just going to apply this, who is taking the forward motion in the relationship, who is progressing the lifestyle, the relationship, the reality. In this example, it is the man. He is out there, working to become more successful and increase their life in terms of abundance and the experiences afforded to them. And the woman in this example, her thought was still in the past, and so she was in a scarcity mindset while he's in an abundance mindset. And so as he's moving forward, she's perhaps even sinking deeper into no, like I have to penny pinch, I have to do all these things. And so then they become out of alignment, is what she is saying. So she's saying whoever like the progressive one is in the relationship, whoever is the innovator moving things forward, and this can happen in both ways. Even in this traditional dynamic, the woman is not just on the sidelines. Typically in a traditional dynamic like this, the woman is progressing things on the emotional level, in the imagination, and those kinds of things, and the man has to keep up with that. But what she's saying is that this man rapidly was changing his reality and the wife was not keeping up. And so she's insisting that she's going to live in this lack mindset, and he's insisting that he's going to live in this luxury mindset. And so the separation came because their thought worlds became different. So you have to be in the same thought world as your partner. Now, I just got so excited. This is a long video, but I love this one. So she's saying, when you think about the thought world, think about the people you manifest. When we manifest these quick connections that are teaching us a lot about our wounding, they're in the same thought world as your wounds. And if you've just healed them, they're probably not in the same thought world as you. And I've talked about this in other videos, that they might not want to move on and heal at the speed or at all that you have. So this is where, when you're imposing your conscious mind saying, I want someone that fits XYZ, and you're using your conscious mind, I think that the wounding is most prominently expressed through our ego, through our conscious mind. So when we use our conscious mind to really select a partner, we are going to be more likely to manifest in a partner that is only aligned with that wounding, not aligned on a subconscious true soul level, and so they do not have a matching foundation. You only live in the same thought world as your wounds, which you are attempting to heal. So once you heal that, the thought world is not shared anymore. The two are two. The two are no longer one. You are not living in the same thought world. Now, if you... this is the affirmation that she gives. I give thanks that the marriage made in heaven is now made manifest upon earth. The twain shall be made one now and for all eternity. But just going back to her saying, for in the superconscious mind of each is the same divine plan. So that is why in this situation, I think it is better to surrender to the divine plan, because you're more likely to manifest something that's longer lasting from that space, as opposed to your conscious mind, which is just really focusing on your current wounding and your current self, and not a more long-lasting, sustainable version of you that has someone that is aligned in so many ways instead of just the couple that are at the front of your brain. It is a much, literally, if you wanted to take a visual, you could say, if I want someone that's in alignment with my divine plan, your divine plan is your whole life, right? So of course that partner is going to align with your divine plan. Whereas if I say, well, I want someone that is aligning with my conscious mind, and I'm using my conscious mind to manifest someone, that could be this long. It could be just a little bit. And it can be frustrating when we keep manifesting from our conscious mind and we're not getting long-lasting results. Sure, we're getting short-term things that are working for our healing. They're teaching us lessons. But if you want something that's longer lasting, perhaps shift your focus and manifest asking for someone from your divine or your divine partner. So again, I give thanks that the marriage made in heaven is now made manifest upon earth. The twain shall be made one now and for all eternity. There's another affirmation for love that she says, as I am one with God, the undivided one, I am one with my undivided love and undivided happiness. I am at peace with myself and with the whole world. I love everyone and everyone loves me. So you're just really opening yourself up to the truth, the root of these experiences, which is experiencing love and peace, and having this all under grace instead of trying to control everything yourself and working from a more wounded space. Now, to wrap this up, I really want to share an excerpt from The Game of Life and How to Play It, the chapter on love. So she talks about real love is selfless and free from fear. It pours itself out upon the object of its affection without demanding any return. Its joy is in the joy of giving. Love is God in manifestation and the strongest magnetic force in the universe. Pure, unselfish love draws to itself its own. It does not seek or demand. Scarcely anyone has the faintest conception of real love. We have such ideas of love being very conditional things, myself included. And every time I catch myself in a conditional love state, there can be like a lot of guilt and shame. And so offering yourself forgiveness is really important. But I'm going to read this example and then wrap things up. So she says, for example, a woman came to me in deep distress. The man she loved had left her for another woman and said he never intended to marry her. She was torn with jealousy and resentment and said she hoped he would suffer as he had made her suffer. And added, how could he leave me when I loved him so much? She replied, you are not loving that man, you are hating him. You can never receive what you have never given. Give a perfect love and you will receive a perfect love. Perfect yourself on this man. Give him a perfect, unselfish love, demanding nothing in return. Do not criticize or condemn, and bless him wherever he is. Difficult, right? Because she said, no, I won't bless him unless I know where he is. Conditional. And so Florence said, well, that is not real love. When you send out real love will return to you either from this man or his equivalent. For if this man is not the divine selection, you will not want him. As you are one with God, you are one with the love which belongs to you by divine right. So basically this woman was like, but she kept working on herself. She's like, okay, because, she sought out Florence for a reason. And so Florence says, when you are no longer disturbed by his cruelty, he will cease to be cruel as you are attracting it through your own emotions. And basically the woman kept working on herself and eventually started to bless this man. She would say, God bless him wherever he is. And Florence said, no, that is real love when you have become a complete circle, which to me, the complete circle means that you're like not being triggered. You're able to constantly stay in the state of love. And you are no longer disturbed by the situation. You will have his love or attract its equivalent from someone else. So she was moving, didn't have access to a phone. She gets a letter from the woman after a few weeks that says we are married. And so as soon as she can call her, she does. And she's like, yo, what happened? And she's like, one day I woke up and all suffering had ceased. Basically, she had stopped with the attachment, the need, the conditional love. And she was able to just release him from that and stop resisting within herself. And I saw him that evening and he asked me to marry him. We were married in about a week. I have never seen a more devoted man. And so Florence says, there is an old saying, no man is your enemy, no man is your friend, every man is your teacher. Whew, tough lesson. So when you find yourself in a state of distress around a partner, around another person, reflect on if it is true love you are offering, or are you distressed because they're not showing up the way you want? Not because you feel that it's what you deserve, but because you feel like you're entitled to it from them. Or you feel like, well, it's not love if they don't do this. This is very common. So be gentle with yourself. And yeah, I'm going to wrap this up here. I know I just gave you guys a lot of information, but this video is getting really long. And if you'd like me to go more in depth on any of these topics, I would so love that. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Did you like it? Was it too long? Are you like, I don't, let me know what you thought. Or are you like, I love Florence Scovel Schinn. I want to hear more about this, because I would be very happy doing like deep dives into each little bits of, these books. I would love to do that. So let me know your thoughts. What do you want to hear more of? What do you want to hear less of even? I'm still going to do whatever I feel called to do, but I like to hear your thoughts. Give this video a thumbs up, drop a comment, let me know how you're doing, and I will see you in the next video.